Welcome, you guys, to the Seed Storyteller series.
Hi.
Woo, this is going to be good, and you guys are in for a treat. We are joined today by two dear sisters, Anjali and Sarah, and they are going to share their stories of being a mama-daughter dynamic duo, just co-authoring an amazing book that just came out. And yeah, wow. Cheers to that. And their work as human rights activists, anti-trafficking activists, and so much more. My name is Sarah Davison-Tracy, and I am an author, a speaker, founder of Seeds of Exchange, and I am the guide for this conversation. And we're so glad that you guys are joining us. And I believe that you are going to find part of your story, perhaps some things that are going to rise up and inspire you to act in your everyday life and just learn something about the world and the beauty of our sister and brotherhood around the world. So, Sarah and Anjali, thank you for joining us. This is such a treat.
Thank you for
Anjali, where are
having
you
us.
coming to us from?
I'm from Nuwakot, my village, Nepal, Nuwakot.
Wonderful. Welcome, welcome. And so what we're going to do, we have so much to talk about. It could be hours and hours, but don't panic. This will just be 45 minutes. We're going to try to distill the many hours of amazing stories just into a bit of a taste. You will find links galore of all that we're talking about in the write-up below. So please go down the vortex of stories and connections and learn more about these amazing and inspiring sisters of ours. But I'm just going to first share real quick an overview of each. So Sarah Symons is founder and executive director of Her Future Coalition, whose mission is to fight slavery with shelter, education, and employment programs that enable survivors and high-risk women and children to remain free and independent forever. Sarah, thank you for your work. I love you and thank you for that. Anjali is director of Freedom and Hope Nepal and visionary behind the just now being built Hasta Memorial School in Nepal. She's a teacher and a college student, right now studying for her exams, taking a break, thank you. A young mother and wife, a sister and friend, a woman of faith, an advocate for the poor and the vulnerable. She stands for love. She is a member of the Tamang community of Eastern Nepal, and she is a survivor of trafficking to India at the age of 12. Wow. Thank you for joining. And we're going to dive in to each of your stories and your beautiful connection as women and as mother-daughter. Let's just start there. So you guys call each other mother-daughter, and you wrote this book together. Anjali, will you talk a little bit about how this relationship and this collaboration, this writing project and publishing of your book has come about?
Actually, for me, my Sarah mom is a place of healing. God, one gift that God gives us, where I don't need to think what when sometimes when we speak to people, we need to think what the next person is going to think, or will you be safe to speak some words or not. But she's someone whose hugs really gives me healings for me, and she's an amazing gift for me from God.
Yeah, that's beautiful. How about you, Sarah? Talk a little bit about this beautiful relationship that you and Anjali have and your part in sharing her story.
Well, I feel, first of all, so lucky and blessed that I got to write this book with Anjali because, you know, that last year was weird and difficult for people. And we all had a lot of time inside. And so when she invited me to, you know, co-author this book with her, I just felt so blessed because we started to have, you know, Zoom conversations almost every day. We got to stay in touch with each other. We also together interviewed about 10 people who had helped all along the way in Anjali's journey, and they were so inspiring. And one of them, very sadly, just a few weeks after we interviewed her, she passed away from COVID. She was a very heroic woman in Calcutta who was involved in the rescue and counseling and healing. And her name was Smita. I just want to honor that sister.
Mhm.
It was a huge blessing to be able to interview her before that she died, and to have all that time with Anjali, because Anjali is so fun and uplifting for me. Like, I always feel so encouraged. We met in 2009 in Calcutta, and then for a variety of reasons we were separated and out of touch for some years, and it was a miracle how we got reconnected. And what as soon as we were reconnected, very soon thereafter, we knew that we were supposed to go through life as mother and daughter. And I had always prayed, I had two biological children, but I always knew I was supposed to have one or two others. And when she came, I was like, that is the answer to that prayer. Of course, there you are. I've been waiting.
Wow.
Yeah, I also want, like, when I we were going like through the book processes, as one thing what I also told mom that I felt is that many times I really didn't have the words to explain my situations, but when we talked in interviews, and then mom wrote those words that exactly came out as I was feeling. I didn't know how to express it, but she wrote the words that I really was feeling when she wrote, and I'd read. It exactly expressed my, and that's, it's
That's
like a miracle for me that I to
yes.
get my words through her. And yeah, and she actually took the first letter that she gave me, still I have here with me. And it the words that mom said, like, from the that day 2011, when she told that now onwards, like, she took my people, my dream and everything as her. So it, as she took it, she always have been with me, all the ways, even
Yeah.
with all my mistakes or with all my journeys ahead, everything. So I'm so much blessed to have you, mom.
Anjali, will you share a little bit about um, the reality of human trafficking, child trafficking, and child marriage, which I know are the seeds of why you wanted to write this book, wanted to build this school, and part of your passion for education as really tied to helping to prevent and eliminate human trafficking. But will you talk to us about what is happening with human trafficking right now in the east of Nepal and around Nepal and around the world, but specifically to where you are?
Yeah, past the trafficking started here, especially as I have been through my village. I can say more on my village, but I know, but every day I hear news on, like, girls being, sold, and like girls, sometimes police catches them on the borders and have news on that. But especially, as I'm from this area, I can say, like, from my Nuakot area, and here, um, the trafficking has come out from the very ancient period, even from my grandmother's period. But there was not such in the grandmother's period, there was not so much regular, like where small, like 11, 10 years, they didn't go, like they were not taken like that. But as time came up, people started to take it as a business, go, and like no one is raising voice, no one is doing nothing, so it's like became a habit and regular thing. Because of that, the society here, the parents, the people here, they easily accept the trafficking as a normal regular thing, like a business, going to shop and come back, buy things like that. They for them it's nothing valuable. So like daughters are not so much valuable, they see more on the money. So the situation here is hard, even though it has come. It seems it hasn't come, but it seems like it has. Now, as organizations are working here, it seems like it's getting less. But people, the girls, is still being.
It's okay, don't worry. Well, actually, let's just pause. This is your baby. This is your son. He wanted to be a part of the conversation. Hi,
Baby.
baby.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Leah. Hi. Hello.
That's all he wanted, was just to be a part of the story. Anjali, don't worry about him crying. He is a very important part of the story. So don't worry. If you need to, you can mute yourself and take care of him, and we'll talk with Sarah. Okay? No worries. So all right, Anjali. Actually, Sarah, let's give her a moment to tend to her baby. Will you talk a little bit about human trafficking, child marriage in Nepal and India, where you also work? I know that's a reality there, but specifically as it relates to the book that you and Anjali wrote and your work there.
Okay. Well, so as Anjali was saying, the problem is very systemic. It's become very normalized in the community for daughters to be sold to India. And then in order to prevent that, a lot of parents will push their daughter into a child marriage because it's better than trafficking to India.
Yeah.
The whole thing has become, as she said, a business that people have just kind of taken for granted. And whereas sometimes in other parts of the world, if a girl is trafficked, the community will, reject her. She'll be excluded from the community. It's different in this eastern part of Nepal because it has become just sort of the industry driving the entire economy of the area. So people aren't necessarily rejected or stigmatized. They just come back. But then, the next generation goes. And young girls are raised to believe that they're responsible for their family's financial situation, that they need to go help. They, of course, don't know what is going to happen when they go there. They just think, I'm going to work. So they probably imagine doing housework.
Yes.
Something like that, or working in a factory, but they don't know what the work is, but they do are expected to contribute financially from a very young age, 10 or 11. And so it's not like you have to kidnap them and force them. They want to go help their family, and their families are quite desperate, and it's expected, and everyone else did it. So it's what Anjali's hoping to do through the school is educate the girls, but also change the community's mindset. These girls are worth more than this. They can contribute to your family's finances if they have a good education. You might have to wait a little longer, but yes, they can be a contributing member of the family and the society, but let's get them an education and teaching the adults in the community how horrible it really is when someone is trafficked. It's a horrible nightmare. Some people don't survive it. Many people are so traumatized. And let's show them another way and slowly change the whole mindset of this village, and then that touches the next village and the next one and the next one, and these kids grow up with a different mindset.
Anjali, that's amazing. And thank you for that vision and your work. Um, do I remember that one of y'all said that due to COVID, it's really increased trafficking well, around Nepal, but specifically in your village? Anjali, did I 75%? Was that the number I remember? Is
I think it was that before.
okay.
Like, I don't know if we know what it is with COVID, right, Anjali? It's a little more unclear, but
Okay.
it was like 75. It's been that.
Wow.
Anjali was a child, either trafficking or child marriage.
Wow. So Anjali, this tie between human trafficking and education has its roots for you in your lifelong curiosity, right? To learn and wanting to go to school yourself. Can you talk about your vision for this school? And let's start with the name of the school that is now being built in your village.
The name of the school is Hasta Memorial School. It means Hasta is my father's name.
Yes.
So my father had really love. He had love for education. So he really wanted to uh, teach other villagers.
Yeah.
And even though at that time the school was not good, he really wanted. So I kept it as me to honor him. And the school, my vision, I dream this school because I don't want the next generation who are growing grow with the same mindset of the old generation, um, like about their life, about the love, about the friendship and everything, about the sister and relationships, like where in a even in a husband and wife, or in a brother and sister, in a father and daughter, or in a relationship in which they can go and see their daughters, their wives, their sisters in brothel, being sexually used and take money from that. I really don't want the next generation grow like that, the men, and also the girls be safe. Many girls, and I don't know, but I think many girls here and many children, young women, they have been, they are being abused there, but still they don't know. So I want the next generation who are growing to get the better education. Also, education with knowledge. I believe, as I'm a believer, I believe in God, that sometimes education should be along with God's grace also is more needed, because there have been schools from more before I was born, but there haven't been any change since last 30 or 25 years. So I really don't want to be just a school, but a school, a place where they can see a difference than the last 30 years or 40 years different thing. So I want the next generation grow with good with education, get good knowledge and good understanding on life, love and friendships and relationships, on that, and on girls, the value, and on the dignity and all the respect for girls, their daughters, and uh, everything. I don't want the men here grow as a trafficker, as nowadays there have been a lot of men being in jail from my village because they they have been a trafficker from their of their own sisters and relatives. So I don't want the next generation be that. And also along with that, my school, I really want to provide informal school facilities for the young and all generations who really want to learn and still build up their life. As I also got opportunity to education when I was 16, so I believe that the the grown up also can change. So I will work. My project is on.
Yes, it's a huge comprehensive vision for it's intergenerational, and it sounds like really wanting to bring intellectual education and also just a sense of well-being and healing and hope in your people, which is beautiful. And thank you.
And I'd like to add,
Please.
Anjali has had this vision and dream for ever since I met her. She
Wow.
was not even 15 years old, so I think 14 and a half. And she, had recently been rescued and was in a shelter home. And she already had this dream. She told me about it. We first met, my father died and the school closed because he was managing the school and, teaching. And when he died, it closed. And it was very hard on the entire generation, including herself, but others too. And she wanted to, go back and reopen that school or open a school in his name from such a young age. And all through the years, going back to Nepal, going back to elementary school, working her way through high school and then college, her vision never wavered. She had one vision and it stayed with her. And even when it seemed like, gosh, I don't even have $10, how will I raise $100,000 or $200,000?
Right.
But she stayed really in the faith and in her vision. And now, it is happening, but partly I think it's because she stayed with it. It never wavered.
That's amazing. And truly, that is one of the things I would love for those of y'all that are with us in this conversation to take with you is the tenacity that Anjali has had, and that sense of, sometimes these dreams take some time to grow and to find the right partners and mothers and daughters. And you, like, this dream is tied to so many people, but rooted so much, Anjali, in this vision that you've had since you were very young, which is amazing. Will you talk a little bit, Anjali, about the vision and need for this sense of healing and counseling and just kind of deep support that is needed for the girls that are able to come back from the brothels and re-enter life, and how that was both a part of your story, but what you're wanting to share with this next generation as they come out of being trafficked themselves.
I don't know if I understood all your questions,
Yeah.
but as I can say about the need of counseling things for the girls who will return from the India. There have been a lot of women who have returned from India, who have been in India for many years, and then when they get older, they don't they don't get to earn the money there, and they need to survive. Because of that, they come back. But sometimes here they don't get the facilities, like they don't get job opportunities, and they can't work in the fields like the other women and other men, because that their body have been used so many years for this thing where they need to lose so many blood and things like that, which has made them much more weaker than the women in the villages. And because of that also, many women, as Sarah mom told in the beginning, that many women have come up with many diseases, who are weak, who are taking medicines and weak. So this these girls, these women, they need financial support, like some job opportunities for them, which they don't need to carry like heavy loads or heavy things, and be earning for themselves. And sometimes some women, they have children in that area also. Sometimes mistakenly they get pregnant, and they want to keep the baby. And they sometimes, if they keep the baby, now they want to give the best for their children, like child. They want to give, they don't want to um let their child be uneducated or live in the village. So they want some good place or like schools for their children, like that. So they need that help. And sometimes because they don't find that in the village, they return back to India. And when they return back to India, how are they going to survive? They are going to survive by buying other girls. They are going to order other girls, where like trafficking will continue like a circle,
Yes.
the they will demand new girls, and where the traffickers will get like a job opportunity, to take girls from here and will be paid. And so these old women, they will buy new girls and they will let the girls work for them. So if we can provide some good income source, like a permanent, more like not a for just a certain time of period, but if we can create some um, opportunities for them to earn, but by working themselves, some like maybe training, sewing trainings, but with good earning, so that they can survive a good living. Because sometimes they have um, it's like they don't know about their value, because they never taught them, like you have no one told them that you have a value, you are special, will like I love you. No one told them. So they don't know that. So they see it's just if they can have a good living, like if they can eat good food and live a good place.
Yes.
So if they don't if they see that here they don't have that, if they can't do that, have that here, they will go back, and it will just increase the problem more, and continue the trafficking more and more.
Yeah. Thank you for explaining that. And thank you also for just the big heart you have to try to offer hope and healing in so many levels with people. So how about I want to make sure that for those that are watching this conversation sometime during the month of March in 2021, the three of us are putting together this incredible opportunity for y'all to give to this school, which again is education to prevent human trafficking. And so much more. I love that it's also about this deep sense of value and deep sense of healing and hope and connection and restoration. And it's the scope of who you are and what you're doing, Anjali, is amazing. So I wanted to put a fundraiser together so that we can be a little or a big, let's be a big part of what's left of this. It's $200,000 US dollars that Anjali needs for this project. And they've raised well over 110,000. Is that right, guys? Okay. So our goal is 4,000, but if we can do more, let's do it. And for those that are watching this conversation after the month of March, I guarantee you the work will go on past March. And so look at the links in the write-up to the Hosta Memorial School, to Her Future Coalition, and explore what they're doing at that point whenever you're watching this, and join, because money is not the only way, but it is one way that we can as a community really make a tangible difference and be change makers, be human rights activists, be anti-trafficking activists in the midst of our everyday life, which is such an honor and a privilege for us to be able to be a little part of your big dream. And make sure you also see there is a link to the book, which is also translated into Portuguese. Is that right?
It's not a translation. It was actually the story was written first
written.
by co-authored with a Brazilian author and is in Portuguese, but it's sort of a different spin, I guess.
Yeah. So Anjali, you're just making your way around the world and sharing your story in languages all around the world, which I think is so cool. Okay, what I want to do, is there anything left that you want to make sure we say about the book, about the school, before we shift into our next chapter of our conversation? Any burning things?
No,
Okay.
you got it.
So here's what I want to also have a moment to talk about, because I think this is so important. Whether you, as you are watching, see yourself as a human rights activist, have co-authored a book. I mean, these are epic things we're talking about, but also know that these two sisters, they're mothers and they're part of community, and they're have to cook food to feed their family, everyday stuff. And we all have so much going on. We're all united in these kind of kindred ways, and also sometimes have seasons of really difficult struggles and challenges, and seasons of joy and books being published. And in the midst of wherever you find yourself, those of you that are watching, we just want to have a conversation about the gift and the vitality of how we care for our souls and our bodies and our spirits, and have peace in the stormy days of life. So I just wanted to talk for a moment. We call this a place of pause in the Seeds of Exchange world. But Sarah, would you talk a little bit about how you care for yourself, body, mind, and spirit, in the midst of the rigors of this work that you do in life?
I have become like very like obsessive and passionate self-care person because, when I first started doing this work, I got kind of exhausted, and, I saw that's not going to help anyone. It's a marathon and I need to stay strong. So I start my morning with an hour of power of journaling, meditation, a prayer, and reading of positive literature. I love to go out in nature, and I get very restored every time I go outside. I live near the beach, and I'm very lucky to be able to spend time there every day. And I like to do yoga and exercise vigorously.
Amazing. And you paint.
And I create a lot of stuff. I do painting, collage, sculpture, like love to any kind of creative arts.
Yeah.
And I play music. That was my original career. So I take long baths and drink tea. I really just do a lot of stuff to keep
fill your cup
up so that I can be there for Anjali and others.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Anjali, how about you? How do you care for yourself amidst all of this big vision and the fire you have for this work and for life?
Yeah, when I get too much, when I feel yeah, it's hard. I sometimes cry. I alone I cry, and sometimes I watch movie or like get involved in just not where I don't need to put my mind, or just watch and let the time pass. And many times I pray. Yeah, I cry and pray to God, like just explaining Him. Oh, I feel this, and more than that, I share with people. I talk with people. Mom knows many things I share with her. I write mostly. I like to write because it seems more better thing for me to write down. Um, now is less, but before I used to write a lot, everything what I feel. When I write down, it just makes me more like calm down, like whatever I'm thinking. Like I write down as I'm talking with someone, like, oh, I feel this, I think this. So I do writing also.
Wow.
Yeah, also get is involved in other just stuffs like cooking or other things where I don't need to put mind, or just
Yeah.
I can just take out my mind from something that is making me more, or like sad, or like tension. So
Okay, so we'll have a field trip for our next conversation and come to your house for when you're cooking. Okay, can we come and have dinner and chat? That would be amazing.
yeah.
We'll all come. Well, here's what we want to do. We just want to take 1 minute. And for those of you that are not driving a car, we'll just invite you to just take a moment and think about what Sarah and Anjali shared, and not necessarily just where is your sense of soul care, self-care, um, in the midst of distress, overwhelm, everyday life. COVID is still with us. Life is not easy for so many of us around the world. So we just want to take a moment and ask you if you just take a breath, and we're just going to have a moment to be and to breathe together. So I invite you, if you're not driving, to just settle into your seat, perhaps close your eyes, and take a few breaths. And to practice not thinking, not worrying, but just be. And inhale love. Inhale peace. Inhale hope. And inhale a mysterious whatever it is you most need to not just make it through the day, but to be well as you make it through today. There you go. Open your eyes. And may it be so. May whatever you most need today be yours. And may you feel love and peace and hope and healing as you go about your day. So, what we want to do is to just, right after this moment of peace, we hope, and restoration and filling your cup, as Sarah said, we want to just invite you to kind of rewind the stories that have been shared and kind of allow your imagination to just be captivated by one part of Sarah and Anjali's story, or something that their story sparked in your story. And without it being like a forced hustling thing, but what's one act, something inspired action, those of you that are watching want to do in your daily life today, ideally, or sometime very soon, because sometimes we lose it if we don't do it right away. Is there something in their creative writing that is sparked in you? Something about their collaboration, something about their beautiful mother-daughter dynamic duo friendship and relationship and love? Do you want to give to this fundraiser? Do you want to explore human trafficking and how you could perhaps become an activist along with Sarah and Anjali? So please just take a moment and think, what is it? Just ask yourself, what is it that I want to do in my daily life today? What am I called to do? What am I beckoned and excited to do? And share it with one person, perhaps in the chat below, or to a live person is always great. And just see what happens as you begin walking with inspired action, inspired by these amazing sisters of ours. And then before we wrap up, I just want to ask Sarah and Anjali to each kind of leave us with one last seed of a story. A word, an inspiration, whatever is kind of capturing your attention, sisters, as we wrap up this conversation. Sarah, will you go first?
Okay. Well, of all the inspiring things Anjali's ever said to me, my favorite thing is actually a quote from her. And she talks about writing a new story with the same words. And what it means is you can't change the circumstances of the past. You know, these losses of father dying, all the things that happen, you can't change them. They are the fabric of your story. But you can use those same words, the reality, the circumstances, and write a new story with them, not being stuck in the trauma of the past, but using it as you move forward. And the book title is based on a quote from Marcus Aurelius: "What stands in the way becomes the way." And it's really, what has happened is your fuel for moving forward. And it's what you got to work with. It's the words you got to work with. So like it or not, take those words and write a new story with them. And that's what she's doing. And that's what I want to do in my life too.
Wow. I love that. Thank you. Anjali, how about you, sister?
I think everyone really has a story of their own, have their own hard times and own story where like for one person might be one thing difficult, but the same thing might not be difficult for other person. But we should understand, and sometimes we should care for each other around us.
Mhm.
If you just can give a hug, or someone just like your one hug or just one word really can change or matter a lot to other person.
Yeah.
So I just encourage be you like it's not that my situation was harder than your is harder than mine, but it's harder for each of us, uh, all the situation, whichever situation we are facing. But I just want to believe that God has given us strength to overcome the situations when we join our hands together with each other, uh, because all this are just man-made things. It's all just situations which can be changed, which has solutions. There is no problem without solutions.
Yes. Thank you. Sisters Sarah and Anjali, thank you guys so much for sharing your story, for living your bright lights of hope and love and healing and justice. You inspire me, and I love you both. Thank you for joining for this conversation.
Thank you for having us and creating space for light, ours and many others to shine through
Yeah.
your work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anjali,
thank
thank
you
you.
so much.
You're,
Thank you so much for supporting.
you're
And
welcome.
it really means a lot. It means a lot. Sometimes sometimes you might not be able to like give a lot of support, financial support, but just to see people supporting and have someone saying some supportive words really
Yes.
encourages to move ahead and be encouraged.
Yes, that is so true. Okay, you guys, thank you for joining Anjali and Sarah and me. We're honored that you are all with us, whether you're watching live or on the replay. Please consider joining in some way the work, the passion, the vision of these two amazing sisters. If you're giving money, buying a book, joining their fight against human trafficking, and really for people, for love. So, a reminder to all of you all as you watch, you are loved. We belong to each other. So, let's stand tall together and light up the world. Bye, guys.